I long the tip, and immediately this trade starts to fail. Immediately it starts to fail. So here again, I should have closed it down, but then I'm like, now I'm in this impulsive revenge trade. So what am I going to do about that? So I give it the candle, or I longed at the top of this candle, right? And so I give it the full length to just give it a minute while I'm processing what's going on in my life, and I'm reassessing the whole morning. I just put my stop down there, and I put my target, wherever the hell it eventually got hit that day. And then 3 minutes later, bigger stop out than the first, like a big old stop out.
Just a quick pause before we get into this. Trading can be intense, and staying mindful during your session matters so much. That's why I created and am sharing a free 3-part audio experience that's helped me deeply. 1 for starting your day with calm intention, 1 to stay centered while you trade, and 1 to wind down with grace when it's time to stop. These tracks are yours. Just click the link in the description. Hey, welcome back. Here at the Market Mamas podcast, I cover a wide range of topics from the intricacies of day trading to mindset mastery and psychological growth, with the goal of the conversations being next level growth for all of us. My name is Becky, and I'm a US-based futures day trader from the Pacific Northwest. My trading experience includes trading stocks, options, crypto, and futures, with both trading a personal account as well as with prop funding companies. Over time, I found that I most enjoy the fast-paced world of intraday futures trading, so that is my primary day trading focus now. Thank you for joining me on the Market Mamas podcast today.
Hey guys, thanks for being here with me at Market Mamas. I am Becky, the host, and I am a futures day trader. I trade mostly the ES, but I also trade the Dow Jones, NQ, gold, silver, and then I trade some options as well. Mostly, though, I do trade ES, S&P 500 futures contract. And so I want to talk to you guys about my week that I had in mid to late February of this year. So just a couple of weeks ago from when this episode is going to come out. It was the week of February 16th. Yeah. So this week was unique because I very nearly derailed the entire thing on Wednesday, which is super special and was not my favorite. And I want to talk about how easy it is to really have a trouble day and what maturity it is to be able to not let it totally spiral into a full-on tilt and just damage everything. Because mine very nearly did, and I thankfully did stop it before it got there. And so let me just walk you through what that week looked like, because I think if you are a futures day trader, sometimes it's really nice to hear about what other futures day traders are going through, experiencing, what that looks like, what that feels like, to know that you're kind of not going insane when you have a little bit of a roller coaster week. I have been trading in this March, which I guess is now, it'll be 5 years that I've been a day trader, which is kind of wild. I mean, I guess 5 years when I joined my program. I think my first day trade was executed in June of that year. But regardless, about 5 years learning the stock market, and it was way harder than I thought. Let me just say that straight up, that it was way harder than I thought it was going to be when I first started. And thank goodness I have been able to extract some profits the last couple of years. But there is still challenges all the time for me. Like I'm so far from where I ideally intend to go as a trader, but where I have come from is also leaps and bounds. So still like in the middle of growth. And this week really like epitomizes that really well. But thank goodness it actually, well, I'm not going to spoil the ending yet. Let's start at the beginning. So I actually had Monday and Tuesday were really sustainable days. Last week was a little bit mixed as well. I had some ups and downs. And so this week I was coming into the week wanting to be really purposeful, very intentional. 3 weeks ago, I actually sat down with a very good friend, Yeshwant, and my good friend Peter, and talked about just our growth in trading and how to stay calmer and more focused, more intentional, kind of cut the noise a little bit, because I happen to be a really high energy person and super busy. And so I am constantly cycling my brain on everything that I want to do and get done and what I think about and how I can do this differently and what I ought to do here and what I'm doing with my kids and blah, blah, blah. Very noisy. So for me, putting forth purposeful intention on calming myself down and really being focused on what is right in front of me always gets me the best outcome for whatever it is I'm doing, whether it's trading or working on the podcast or having meaningful interactions with one of my children. So this week, coming off of last week, which has a little bit of mixed as well, I wanted to really prioritize calm, steady, effective, only trading on my best setups each day, 1 or 2 trades, lock it down, move along. I have a full, beautiful life that I like to do a lot of different things throughout my day with kids, with trading, with different businesses, with the podcast. Okay, so let's start with that Monday. Monday was President's Day. It was a half day in the market. And so volatility is generally quite a bit smaller on half days. And generally, it's a little bit more of a scalper's territory, right? There's a smaller smaller range, less giant moves. Oftentimes there is not a training day on a half-day holiday day for the market. And so I did come into the morning anticipating trading. I set up my value areas and my levels, my key levels that I was looking for ahead of time. And that morning I set up my hypothesis as I normally do. I saw it move to one of my levels and start to react there. And so I took a nice trade off of that level. I scaled out at my intended first target. Second one didn't quite get there. It was kind of wonking around. So I took it off as well at a key target because, like I said, these holiday days are not a day to overstay your welcome and to shoot for a home run because oftentimes the moves are just not huge. And you'll see that on the chart if you look back. It wasn't an outsized day. It was a small range bound day. I got a nice bite out of that and I was content with my morning. I went about my day. I had some streaming with Blue Sky. I had an interview to conduct. So it was a nice, beautiful, well-rounded day. My kids were home. So in between different things in the office, I would do different activities with them. Nice day. Tuesday, more volatility. We had a little bit more action. Obviously, it was back to a full regular trading schedule time frame. And so the moves were a little bit bigger. There was a little bit larger range. Again, I had my process. I slept well. I got up. I traded my system. I had my levels drawn. I wrote out my hypothesis in the morning. And when the trade started moving, it started reacting at my level. I got a nice trade off of that. It was great. I locked it down nicely in profit. I scaled my second one, trailing my stop as I went. And then I was going to be content, but then I even saw another move coming. So I took a small scalp off of a secondary move that day and locked in a really nice bit of profit that day as well on that second trade. And so it was like a full size trade and then like a half trade because I traded slightly smaller and just took a smaller bite because it was my second trade and I was starting to run out of time. I had to switch to kids. I had a little bit more going on with the family that morning. And so again, got up, followed my process, took a really good setup, took another secondary setup with a smaller size just because the noise was starting to ramp up. I was starting to get distracted, but I saw the trade clearly. Nice, profitable day, good on the day, bigger than the day before because there's a little more volatility, and I took 2 trades. Wednesday is the day that derailed me. Wednesday is the day that ideally would have continued on this path, right? Get up on schedule, create my process, focus, execute at my levels, scale per my system, manage my risk appropriately. That's how I like to trade. That's my goal every day that I wake up. Always I wake up anticipating a great day, a strong day, executing on my system and capitalizing to the best of my ability and potentially getting stopped out and that just be the name of the day. I did not do this on Wednesday. I overslept. So I set my alarm per usual and oftentimes I will snooze once or twice, but by the second one, I'm always up. This time I snoozed once and then I turned it off because I was sure I was going to get up like a moment later. Well, I slept in 20 more minutes and then I woke up at the start and I was behind and I was rushing and it just did not work out. I still have to feed my dog and get my system fully booted up. And so I was rushing quite a bit. I started my hypothesis, which I actually write out quite a few different boxes I like to tick. I like to think about certain levels. I like to redraw my levels in the morning. I like to see how it's responding to the levels I drew the night before and then make my plan for what it might look like for different levels. And then I trade that when the market opens. Well, I rushed the heck out of that and I did like maybe 10% of my morning trade plan hypothesis, if I'm being honest. But then market opened. And so I was like, well, I've been a trader for 5 years. I can wing it. Now, raise of hands, who has done that? Because if you've been a trader for any number of months, you might also have this experience where you're like, I've been trading really well. I've got some skills. I can see it when I see it. Like, I'll just see what happens. Okay, so market started printing and I did not have my hypothesis done. So I actually turned on the side a little bit of a different information source that was talking about the market and was just giving me different energy about what might have been going on that day. And it was more noise than I usually do. And I don't exactly know what prompted me to turn on that noise that day, but it was not something that I normally do. So I had extra noise. I did not have a full plan and the market was printing and I was just going to be present and listen to the market and see what opportunities presented and go with it. That was my half-baked plan. Okay, so I start looking at it. This noise is in my head. I am on the fly making trade plans is the situation. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're doing this. I enter a trade. I get in and it starts to like wonk around and then I'm looking at it. I'm like, is this the trade that I wanted? Is this even a trade setup? Is this a pattern that I saw? I don't think it is because it was printing quickly. I got in before my confirmations. I got in too fast, not my normal system. I did not wait for the data to print like I normally do for at least a 5-minute candle. I generally will wait for. Sometimes I'll get in at the end of that, like 4.5 minutes when I see what it's going to look like and I start to see a strong intention with it. However, this was much faster than that. So I'm in and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I scale into my trades. I get in with half size and then I add the second size when it's showing me that the trade is working out. And so I put on my chart an ad for my second size, thinking that I could still manage this trade, even though I got in kind of impulsively and a little aggressively without fully having a great plan. So as I'm putting my orders in to add the second half of my size, kind of anyways, my oldest kid comes in my office and he is sick. Like the night before, he was maybe getting sick. He wasn't feeling great. He had a terrible night's sleep, apparently. Was coughing and like eyes watering and just wanted to give me the full rundown of all of his symptoms and every hour of his night, which he did not come to me for help. Anyways, so he's sitting here and I'm trying to be empathetic and like listen to he's right in my office, listen to like what his experience was and what he needs and how his heart is feeling and how his eyes are watering and full on like I'm trying to be empathetic. I have this trade going on. I don't even fully understand the damn trade. And I have my second ad on there about to get picked up. And I'm like, frick, I should not even be in this trade. This was not my plan. I'm looking at it now and I don't even see my clear setup and I'm already in. So I really should not be in. And then I'm looking at this program where I'm executing this other program where I do my levels and I'm data and we'll do my deeper levels on my full analysis on, and then I'll execute on this other platform. Well, I'm looking at this one and they're not even matching up. The candles are not matching up at all. There is clearly a lag, and the lag is in the one that my execution is in. So the candles that are printing do not sync up. I'm like, I don't even know which data I can trust, and I don't even have a trade that I am fully in support of. So I'm going to cancel the ad at least and only manage a half size, right? I can do that. I can sunk the stop. So I go to cancel my ad, and instead of canceling my ad, I cancel my bracket order, which to those of you that are new to trading, a bracket order is a stop loss and the profit target, depending on which way you're going. It's the orders that are on either side of your entry price. And that basically is your protection, because if the price starts flying around, it will either ping and hit your properly placed stop loss order or your targets because it's moving in the direction of your trade plan. And so instead of accidentally canceling my ad to the second half of my position, I canceled the entire bracket order and the ad got picked up. So I'm in for full size for a naked position. There is no protective bracket stop loss in place. There is no target. My son is still talking to me because I'm half listening to him as I was clicking buttons. That's why I clicked the wrong thing. Still love him very much, endlessly, all the days. So now I'm in a naked order. The data is decoupled. I don't know what the hell the price is actually doing, which one is right, which one is wrong, because I can't even focus on two different systems I'm trying to watch. And he's still in here. And then once I got to the naked point, I was like, listen, buddy, I love you so much. Your dad's in the kitchen. You're going to have to migrate and find a little snack and some Tylenol, and we'll talk in a minute. So once I like gently nudged him out and closed the door behind him, then I was like, what the hell is going on in my trade and my accounts? And it had moved substantially away from me. I was deep in the red just in that like 1 minute. Like it was a half-assed trade plan, if you could even call it that. And I was in for full size and I had no business, and it was unprotected, and the data was lagging and I didn't even know which one was accurate. So there's like multiple technical errors of not having my normal bracket that is protective of me and not having appropriate data on all chat platforms that are crossing, that I know it's moving and I know how to manage it because I know like what is even happening first. So I'm sitting here trying to figure out what the heck I got myself into and what to do about it. And my accounts are just getting more and more and more red. Everything is copied. All my accounts are on the line. And I had been building them up since the end of last week, the last couple of days. Like they were nicely growing. Like these were accounts that were in the payout department. Like they were not evals. So very frustrated. And then finally just it hit my mind of like, this trade is going against you. Like this is not the trade. This looks like a presentation for the opposite direction. I was shorting. It looked like it was going long. I'm like, this is what am I like? I snapped out of it, right? And so then in that moment, all you could do is flatten. You like to add back in another order. Sometimes it will add in the orders, but it won't do the bracket appropriately, and sometimes it can like double you. So I just force close every trade for more than my daily loss of a loss. And so now I'm like solidly red on the day, super frustrated. There was all sorts of issues, and this is where I should have walked away. This is where I was like totally triggered. I was super irritated. Like there was so much noise. I had to shut off the noise of the stream that was still running. Like my AirPods weren't charged. I don't know. I didn't charge the night before. So it was running like noise in my room on this other screen. So there's like volume in my house, not even like in one AirPod and I keep it light. Sometimes I put music in my ear with one AirPod and it's light. That's not bad. I kind of enjoy that. It's like a nice subtle background music. No, this was like people talking on a different feed in my room that is not even a part of my normal trading process. I don't find that super beneficial for me at my trading career, and it wasn't even like a trusted, and I don't know. So I shut that off. My child is being taken care of lovingly by my husband. He's telling him all about his watery eyes in the other room. And I forced close my trade for a fat loss. And I'm just like reeling a little bit. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so frustrated. So maybe I'll get to this day and I'll tell you all the points where I wish I would have changed. But in this moment, I made it worse. I did not make it better. And so I really like to talk about all the little safeguards we can put in place so that these bad things don't happen. But in this situation, I did not have my max daily loss set on this batch of accounts. And so I had the ability to do some monkey business in that moment when the trade was flying away from my trade. And I was like, I'm in the wrong direction of the market. I don't trust the setup. Like, that was super frustrating. And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, shit, it's going in the other direction. So I just haphazardly jump in a long position, full size, right away. No hesitation. Like, I did the whole, like, you took like a big old loss, so I didn't want to work back into my profits. Like, as is indicated, if you're in a drawdown, sometimes you do want to back off until you really clear up the market. Nope. In that moment, I was not thinking in my logical trade plan system. I was thinking in, I'm real frustrated about this whole situation. I'm going to fix it right the heck now. So I entered full size position at the tip after I just forced close a trade that was going the other direction. That actually, was not a terrible plan in general, but it pushed away from me. And so then at the top, I enter along without waiting for a pullback. So again, anyone who's been trading for a number of time, if you've had a strong push at market open, this is like, I don't even know, like 14 minutes into market open, and there hasn't really been a great pullback yet. Let me tell you what happened. I longed the tip, and that didn't end well, because now I'm red on the morning for my first trade that I locked in with an outsized loss already. And now I long the tip, and immediately this trade starts to fail. Immediately it starts to fail. So here again, I should have closed it down, but then I'm like, well, now I'm in this impulsive revenge trade. So what am I going to do about that? So I give it the candle, or I longed at the top of this candle, right? And so I give it the full length to just give it a minute while I'm processing what's going on in my life, and I'm reassessing the whole morning. I just put my stop down there and I put my target wherever the hell it eventually got hit that day. And then 3 minutes later, bigger stop out than the first, like a big old stop out. And that was 2 for 2, probably in the span of, I don't know, 15 or 16 minutes of New York Open. Just all the things went wrong. Let's count the ways. So I overslept, and I did not do my normal morning process. So I slept in, I didn't get up on time. And then I came down here. The second thing, I haphazardly did not do my hypothesis, my trade plan. I didn't finish my levels. I did not properly think through what a long or a short position would look like, what that would present like, how I need to see at what levels in order to execute a trade. Did not do that process. I had extra noise on that I normally don't listen to, and actually it doesn't really serve my purpose. Not great. And then my sick kiddo came in and immediately started talking to me about all the things that he needed to say. He needed my attention. I should not have been in a trade. If my children need my attention, then they need my attention. Like, that's just a hard stop for me. My husband is excellent at helping me with them in the morning, and usually he holds it down. But like sick kids, oftentimes they want the mama, right? Which is totally fine, and I'm down for that. So he needed to have my attention. But I got in a trade right before he got in, and I added my back order entry right before he came in too. So those orders were already placed, actively in play. So then I should have just flattened the trade instead of even trying to close my ad. Instead, I got in for full size, and I got in no racket. Here again, I mismanaged that click on my screen and had a wonky order. I'm also realizing at that time, after I get in, that the candle data is not equal. It's not giving me good information. And the one I'm executing on is one that's lagging and inconsistent. So I'm executing on a program that is not pulling real-time data, which is also super dangerous because you don't even know what you can count on. Which, when I was trying to force close it after I had my son leave, I didn't even know where it was going to close it at because it was moving around, and I'm trying to gauge which one's a better price to force close, right? I'm trying to manipulate the situation to the best of my ability of trying to close down a naked position with the best outcome that I can. Meanwhile, it slides down and it just flew away. So Anyways, I was trading with lagging data with a program that is not fully synced with the real-time market. Should have been shut down. I'm trading with naked position without protection in place. Should have been shut down. Like immediately you get in that situation. Like my trade plan and my risk management rules for me personally is to not be in that position because I cannot manage it how I like to manage it. So I need to close it down within seconds with the best outcomes that I can. If it's wonking around, I could see if it'll go a little lower, close it, and then re-entry with my bracket again for safety. I didn't even do that. I was like, well, let me hopefully it'll go in my direction, which, hope in trading is not super reliable as a trade plan. Trade management system. Oh, okay. So all these things are going wrong. And now all of a sudden I finally, I realize like I'm trading with inaccurate data, a naked position, super distracted, already very frustrated. Like, shut this shit off. So I forced close it, canceled the accounts. It was bloody. So the fatal error of the morning was the revenge trade, right? Like all of those things were a perfect storm. I overslept, didn't have a clear plan. I had too much noise. I had data entry issues. I closed my bracket. I had lagging data. All of that was a cluster. Any one of those variables is a problem. It sets you off of your normal balance. It doesn't have you in a nice, healthy routine. It's harder to focus when you have any one of an external variable that is not per your system that you define clearly, you lean into, you execute best when you have your variables that you can controlled. Multiple variables were out of control. And I think that honestly is what led to, because I do better in general with managing my tilt and my psychology these days. I'm getting better at it every month. I put a lot of energy there for a lot of different reasons. And it really is much less of an issue than it was my first couple of years of trading. Well, this day didn't work out because I literally entered a revenge trade within 30 or 45 seconds of forced closing that trade because I was so frustrated. Because I was like, this day is stupid. This morning is irritating. Like, this is not how I trade. Like, I'm going to just fix this right now, which is not a sustainable system. So that was the last and final kicker, I think number 7 or 8 in my list of really not great situations that day. Multiple of those were not really in my control, but what was in my control with every single one of them was to make the choice to not trade, was to make the choice to shut down the trade when I got in a trade and I realized I was impulsively entering. I could have just shut it down there instead of putting my ad on at a certain level. I could have just shut it down, recognizing I was in an impulsive trade without a clear plan. In that case, that would have happened even before my son came in. I didn't. I thought I could manage it appropriately on the fly, which was not a great choice because it wasn't even my trade plan. It was just a product of the chaos of that morning. I shouldn't be in these trades that I don't fully plan out. I don't really understand. I don't have a clearly defined level where I'm going to trade my stop off of. That's not a part of being a consistently profitable businesswoman at my trading charts. Like when I recognize and I appreciate and respect the business that I'm in of being a day trader, and I put capital on the line of multiple different accounts that I really like withdrawing the money from, it's important to me to treat that as a business. That has been another area of growth that I have worked through as a trader, to recognize that this is not a gambling project for me. This is not throwing money at the market and hoping something sticks. This is a business that I have studied my butt off for years to have a fine-tuned process that I really understand and execute well on most of the time. And this is an example of dropping the ball, of letting it all slide, of having multiple external factors that were not helpful. And I did not make the choice at each level of this problem accumulating and getting bigger of stopping sooner. And then I finally did stop, but I was so far frustrated. I was so far deep into the fight or flight, like emotional response system, that I didn't even stop there on the revenge trade. Revenge trading is super dangerous. Like it really is so easy to, once you start to slide down that slippery slope of going too big, going in back to back, flipping teams rapidly without having a lot of reasons. This was a going in back to back, no break, no calming down, no walking away, flipping teams. It was a roller coaster of a situation. Okay. So that was the morning. 2 big old stop outs. Like it was 3x my normal daily loss limit. And honestly, I thought that the trades had moved enough in profit and it wanted enough. And the P&L looked very red to me. It was much more red than I am used to seeing. And I just shut it down. I didn't even know if my accounts would be salvageable. I thought that there was a potential for me blowing them, but I was like seeing red. This is how messed up I was. Like I wasn't even focused on how much damage I did versus how the accounts had built. I was just seeing red. I was like, this is real bad. This is a terrible execution. Neither one of those trades were good. Were per my system. Like my house needs my attention. My son was still being all dramatic and poking at his brothers. It didn't feel good. And I like I said, it was very frustrating. So I left, that was a morning that I cried on, and I haven't cried on a trading morning execution wise in a really kind of a long time, which is great because it used to happen more, I guess. It used to be more frustrating more often. Accounts would get blown. I learned a lot of lessons through there, and it's considerably less common now. But I think when I finally force closed it, I shut down my execution program, which, let's be real, when I realized I was in for that first half size and I realized they were not giving me the good data, that's when you shut that program down and you restart it. I didn't know this. I didn't do it. I finally, after that second stop out, shut it down without even processing the P&L because I knew I had to stop. I had to cut my brain off. So I shut it down, and I'm just sitting here, and my execution screen, I have 3 screens, is blank. It's just the screensaver, right? The background. And I just the tears are just little tears because what the hell happened? It's like processing a train wreck. It felt like a dumpster fire train wreck. This just happened in rapid fire accumulation. And that's how fast it can happen. That's how fast as a day trader with futures, with Forex, with crypto, depending on what you trade, if you trade the fast-paced, highly leveraged instruments such as futures like I do, it can happen just that fast. I'm going to round it down to about the minute, but this was a 15-minute trading experience, trading session that went very red. It was a 4-digit red per account situation. And I was like, that is not how I behave. That is not how I structure my system. That is not how I talk to my trading communities and my coach about how I have learned to do my best and honor my system as a trader. And so I'm just sitting there having those little tears slide down my face. And my husband brings in the coffee, and he's like, clearly I'm pushed back from my screen. My screen is off. I stopped, and I had a little moment by myself, and I just cried on my coffee a little bit. And recognized that there was no way I was executing a trade that day. I had to go. Wednesdays is my long stream day at Blue Sky, and I was like, I just got to get my head right because I need to show up for my community and do other things with my day and function in my life. Clearly, I cannot make it back today. I cannot fix this today, and I truly believe that you shouldn't try to make it back in a day. If you've had a hard morning, if you have taken an outsized stop, if you have mismanaged a trade in any way, if there's one of these variables that threw you off your game, that throws me off my game, I really am no longer in the really clear, calm, focused headspace that I need to be in order to execute to my best of my ability. It's not the same as taking a small stop out on a half-size contract because the market did something else. You reevaluated, you tried again at another setup that should ideally work, and the market is just being wonky and obnoxious that morning. And you still managed your risk. You traded appropriate size. You got out when you intended to. It wasn't an outsized risk. In that situation, you could maybe just take a break, go for a little walk, have a little breakfast, come back and see if there's something better that day. That was not this morning. This was a dumpster fire morning where everything was wrong and nothing was right, and I shouldn't have continued. And I did multiple errors, and I recognize I did multiple errors by continuing to trade that account, by trading distraction, by having distraction in the first place, by trading without my hypothesis made and fully understood by myself before I entered contracts. So thank goodness I left it off all day, my execution screen, and I went about the rest of my life. And a couple of things really helped me reset. I did talk to my mentor that day, and I did talk to my accountability partner that day, both in the morning, and I kind of aired out what I had done and how I was really frustrated. But then I also got a workout in between streaming sessions. I don't know if you guys do this, but for me, physical activity really helps my mind. It really helps me recenter my brain. It pulls me out of my mind, my frustration, my irritation, and puts it into my body. I try to lift heavier. I try to go deeper. I try to take less breaks to kind of push myself, because when I do that, it moves my body and I feel stronger and healthier and I get a good sweat session. But it pulls me out of my irritation, the candle trance that I can be in, thinking about what the candles are doing, what they're doing, if I can make it back, what happened that morning. But if I can just really zero into my process with my exercise, it is massive. The endorphins start flooding, and so it starts to counteract that frustration cortisol situation. And instead, it's giving me a little dopamine hits, little reminders of I am doing something right. And I train with Amy. She's a trainer who does online Fit for Excellence. She has an app. It's excellent. And when she's doing the workouts and she guides you through them, she also does self-talk of today's going to be the best day. And I believe in my ability to succeed, and goals are coming my way, etc. She's excellent at self-talk. And that also is really grounding for me because I'm moving my body. I'm hearing about positivity and forward focus and goal-oriented energy. And I think that really helped me turn my day around. And at this point in my career, I have learned these things, right? I have learned what helps pull me out of these trance, pulls me out of the potential tilt zone, pulls me out of a potential spiral where these losses can take multi-day. So what I did right after shutting down my execution program and not opening it again that day was to speak to my people, my accountability partner and my coaching mentor, my trading mentor, and then getting in a good exercise session and then going about my other commitments. Like I'm like full on adulting. Like if I have a hard trading morning and I'm frustrated and I had a few tears, I'm still going to fulfill my other commitments. I'm still going to show up, shake it off, have some water, have some breakfast, sweat it out, and then do the rest of my business, because sitting in the pain doesn't help me. I don't know if it helps some people. Maybe it does for a certain period, a small period of time to process what you went through. Yes. But I do better when I can get my work done and focus on what I can control, what is in front of me. I cannot fix that morning. I cannot go back and redo it. That's not a literal possibility with the way the time works. And so I had to move forward, and that helps me. So maybe if you've ever experienced this, maybe try that, like really focus on some functional things to pull you out of that negative headspace. So I went about my whole day, and then I knew that I needed to journal this out. Later that night, when the kids went to bed, I journaled a page and a half on how this day started, what I did wrong, and then hindsight on what I could have done right, with not trading distracted, with not trading without my plan fully written out first, with shutting it down instead of still executing multiple trades on a platform that is not acting reliable with this current login. I think I did a really good job. I certainly did better than I've done in the past with moving on after those 2 trades. And later that night, I did pull up my system and I realized that, thank goodness, I didn't actually blow those accounts or cause irreparable damage. I still had a decent cushion because they had been growing, and I didn't totally destroy myself on those trades. I didn't go really outside of my full size positions, and I didn't take more than 2 trades. And it wasn't a total outsized risk in terms of where I took the hits. So again, that was grounding. It was like, okay, this was a win by not continuing to revenge trade it, by not fighting with it all day, by not giving away my mental capital completely with fighting with Miss Market when I'm already frustrated and was tilting. Instead, I had a whole functional day from 7:30 on, full functional day. And then I was able to process at night and make a plan moving forward. My accounts were okay. It was a reset. I tried to go to bed on the earlier side. That didn't really work out. I think I called in that night at the hospital. But anyways, I did really reset my brain on what I need to see and how I need to get back to trading my best self, to waiting only for the A+ setups and remaining focused. And I use this as an example of it's okay. I can still have errors. I am human. This is going to happen. This is the variance of being a trader. This is really hard. And all of these things happen so easily. It's so easy to slide into this situation where 1, 2, 3 things start to go wrong and you're in a precarious situation, and it's harder. And I wanted to give myself the grace, as I advise you guys to do, is to give ourselves grace when we're doing this really hard thing, to know that day can go wrong and you can have a fat loss day and still be a good trader and still believe in yourself and still have a positive momentum moving forward. That doesn't have to be any kind of thing that means that you're not going to succeed in trading. It's a day, was unpleasant, and it was a reminder of important lessons that I know, but clearly still could use a reminder on here and there. And I'm so, so, so thankful that I was able to stop when I did stop. I mean, ideally I would have done it sooner, but I'm really glad I didn't fully implode. The next day I got up and I actually slept in because I was called to the hospital the night before for an on-call shift. And so I slept in the morning. I was like, I don't trade in the morning after being called in because I usually don't get home till 1 or 2 in the morning. That's what happened Wednesday night. So I slept in the next morning and I went up and took care of my kids in the morning and did my normal routine. And then I found a trade later in the day that day. But I respected the fact that I have to come to the market and do a full read, set up my levels, wait for a trade at my levels, and then execute per my system with the right size and leverage and trade management system. And I had a great trade that day. And I made back already relaxed morning. I got the sleep that I needed. I honored my system of not trading the night after, mark open after a night on call at the hospital. And I traded with the system when I was calm and focused, and all my programs were in sync and working well. It went great. It was a full profit trade day. It made back about a third of the losses I had before, and it was the average win day for me. And I was like, that is it. It's a base hit day. I am not going to make back this full loss in one day. I'm not doing it. That shouldn't be the priority. It was the outsized loss day. I should not expect a home run. It was kind of a choppy day, honestly, that next day anyway. And so I, again, was very proud of myself for recognizing that I'm not trying to fix this in one day. I'm trying to take a good trade. I'm trying to get back in sync with taking one good trade followed by one good trade. And so that was that priority, was to lock in one good trade, start building my buffer back up to where I like it, and turn that direction back around, not let this start a slide of like multi-days of struggle days, because that is harder to pull out of for me especially. And so I just want to keep that day loculated, have the lessons matter. I journaled them out. I thought about them. I did my best to move forward and remind myself of who I want to be when I'm trading my business. That's what I did the next day, because I really set the intentions and I made the choices that were in sync with that. One good trade, shut it down, had a full, lovely rest of my day that day. And then again, Friday, same thing. I recognized that tilt day was still kind of heavy. My accounts were still red on the week a little bit because they were close. I think they were like right on the border of red on the week at that point. But there had been a massive hit that week, basically. And it was still felt fresh enough that I knew I need to be really careful and still make sure that I am honoring my system and my trade plan. And so Friday, I did just a lovely ideal day again. I woke up on time. I did my full hypothesis and planned out my trades. I waited for my levels. I waited for the best setup that I could see that I could get in on per my system. I took that trade. I scaled out almost all of my profits at my first and second target. And then I had one small runner that came back on me and I stopped that one out just in profit. Beautiful first trade. And then the second is time for my second trade opportunity. If I saw one, and I only had just a little bit of time left in my day that day. And so I was just watching, and I again saw another really good trade opportunity after I got kids to school and had just a little bit of time at my charts. It was an A+ setup. I had seen what I needed to see to move into this next trade opportunity. It was reacting at my level. I took another bite, another smaller trade. I did a slightly less size, and I didn't hold a runner because the rest of my day was full and I couldn't stay and manage it. 2 good trades, a full-size trade and then another half-size trade. Per my system, respecting my time. I wasn't trading distracted. Everything technically was working beautifully. And I was very focused and intentional with what I needed to see and how I would manage my risk on those trades. That's the trader that I am. As a trader that I behave as nearly all the time, that is who I am calling to me now. That's who I want to be, who I always want to be. And so thank goodness, that worked out, really well. And so my week ended overall green. Like this massive, stupid morning on Wednesday morning that could have really set me back weeks and annihilated those accounts and really been a bigger emotional hit. Thank goodness I managed it better than I could have in the past, which is not always easier as we hope it will be. But I was able to focus on 4 out of 5 days, really purposeful, intentional trading, and I maintained my forward momentum. The week closed green. I was very thankful that, that's 80%. That's 80% of my trading career this week was ideal for me. It's where I'm at. It's the size I want to trade for my accounts. It is the trades that I see and understand. It is my scaling skill and strategy that I am most comfortable with at this point in my career. I executed quite well 80% of the week. And I can't be mad about that. Like, I just can't. Like, I recognize that the outsized losses on Wednesday were inappropriate. And I really ideally would have stopped, at a half trade on the first trade when multiple things were already wrong with my morning. Hindsight, that is a massive reminder of when multiple things are going wrong, like that is not an ideal setup to be executing on chart. And, luckily I only had 2 full-size losses in that morning. And so I just wanted to make this episode based on it because I processed this week a lot this week. And I've done some extra journaling because it was kind of a little bit of a roller coaster with it. And I want to just say, like, Market Mamas is really about being authentic and real with you guys because futures day trading is pretty hard. There's a lot of variables. There's risk. There's highly leveraged. There's a lot of money that gets thrown around. And as such, that puts a lot of emotions getting thrown around. And to delve into figuring out how we can best manage our emotions and do the best that we can with what we are given, what we have in front of us, it takes time to grow those skills and to really get better at it. This week, as an example of a tilt spiral nestled right in there, I've done way worse. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've done way worse. I've had weeks where I've had 3 or 4 full tilt spirals that cause more damage within 1 week. I'm sure I have. It's been a while, but that happens when you're learning what it feels like, how easy it is to slide, what your tilt triggers are, how they manifest, what you do when they happen, how prone are you to revenge trading versus over trading versus what your leverage choices are, how you honor what your rules are in those moments. We all have to learn ourselves in these situations, and you learn in the freaking fire and you get burned and it sucks. And then you just try to get burned less and recognizing when the flames are heating up and you need to just walk away. And I have tilt triggers and I have risks in my life, in my trading career. I'm reliant on internet and systems functionality and my focus, my ability to quiet my mind enough in those moments. And I'm still human, and I'm a discretionary trader with a systematic trading plan behind me that dictates how I intend to trade most of the time, but I have discretion in my choices. And so I am getting better. And if anyone is still having multiple tilt spirals in a week, I would encourage you guys to really just have some grace with yourself and, know that that happens and that I am a profitable trader and I still have some tilt spiral in me. But then to try and really make it count, to make it shape you, make it change you, make it matter. This one mattered to me. I really felt it. I cried. I got a little teary telling my mentor and my accountability partner too, just reliving it that day. But then I journaled it out and I decided to make this episode with you because I am so human. And I think that every trader out there who's a retail trader is also so human. So I think hopefully this will reach the right people and help you know that I hear you, I see you, I've been there. We get better. When you show up and you keep trading and you let the lesson days count and let them sink in and let them influence who you are, it gets better. And you do a little better each time, month over month. You manage them a little bit better. You control them a little bit more so. You rebound a little bit quicker. And that is so powerful. That is what it looks like, I believe, to push through to the next levels in trading, is to have that resilience and that growth through the hard, challenging moments. And I hope that this reached someone who maybe needed to hear it. And I hear you and I see you and I believe in us. And trading is amazing. If you're still here at the end, thank you. And I hope you are subscribed because this is me. I am Becky, the host of Market Mamas, and I just want to be really real with you guys about what I'm going through and growing through as a futures day trader. And I love it, and I'm not going to stop, and I'm going to make my lesson days that I still have count to make me sharper and quicker and better moving forward. And I want that for all of us if you're still having them and you're working through them. All right, everyone. Trade safe and enjoy the journey on the way. Make it count. Give yourself some love and have a great weekend if you're watching this on the weekend, like when they come out on Fridays. Every Friday, new Market Mama episode. Okay. Take care, everyone. Bye.